Hi, my name is Illena Quijano, and I'm going to be going over my presentation about my Frankenstein paper. So, my main argument is Victor Frankenstein's ethical negligence caused more harm than his own creation. Now, in the beginning, he immediately is very egotistical, self-centered, and after his mother's death, he ends up going kind of nuts at school, and he kind of throws his ethics out the window for his desire, for his own desires, for his own selfish desires of like his scientific ideas, and that leads him to grave digging or hiring other people to exhume bodies, and like he messes with them. I mean, it's not ethical at all, and like he puts together different types of people for his own creation, and he just throws away his ethics, and he doesn't think about the consequences of what could happen and what this could create. And once he does face the consequences, he just abandons his creation. He kicks him out, and he's just being very, very selfish, and his negligence caused from this action, his negligence caused so much damage, even to especially to his own creation and to everyone around him. Um, he he was just not very emotionally intelligent, didn't really think about his actions, and again was like negligent. And this caused the death of his all his family members, and or most of his family members, and his loved ones, all because of his choices and the responsibilities that he didn't pick up. Um, and this leads to him uh, di- uh, dying in the Arctic. I mean, he's even in the Arctic, even in like at the end of the book, he's still selfish. He makes those all those people on the boat because he doesn't want to leave. He kind of doesn't force them to stay there, but I mean, he doesn't really he doesn't self-sacrifice at all. He's very very ego very very kind of very narcissistic, honestly. But I'm not a psychiatrist. Um, but he's very self-centered, and that was my main point, is that um, Victor, by being so self-centered, by being negligent of his ethics, he caused way more harm than his creation. Um, Even though his creation has killed and like killed all his loved ones, I would argue that um, it's honestly Victor's fault, absolutely, um, and that even on top of that, Victor would has caused even more harm on top of whatever his creation has done. Like he's uh, yeah, like even his like personality is worse than his creation. um, so my two sources that I pulled from are um, the traumatic responsibility of Victor Frankenstein, and I chose this one because she goes over um, Victor's responsibilities throughout the novel, and how he either failed or maybe succeeded a little bit on, or that he took at least a little bit of responsibility in the novel, um, which mostly was just guilt. Um, but I chose this one because it was more Victor, focused on Victor than his creation. Another article that uh, I sourced was early mother-child separation and parenting, and child well-being in early Head Start families. I chose this one because I wanted to talk about how Victor's negligence of his creation caused his creation to be violent. If he didn't abandon his creation, he and actually nurtured him, he probably wouldn't have turned out the way he did and killed all his family members. Um, so that's another thing of him being um, not ethical at all, and just completely being thinking about himself and not of other people, including his creation. Um, so I if I were to, I think what was the question? I think it was if I were to spend more time on something, it would have been maybe looking into more about ethics in science. I don't really know much about it. Um, I only know like a couple things of interesting like bio. Uh, the I would have been interested in learning more about the ethics, like how science um, follows ethical concerns and stuff like that. I think I would have looked into that as it relates to Frankenstein and this paper as well. Okay, here is my final artwork. So I focused on drawing like uh, all of Victor's failures and all the points in time that I felt like he was being negligent of his responsibilities, ethics, or so on. And so, of course, the first is the graveyard, uh, his creation, the locket, and his wife, and at the end, of course, with the sailors and eventually his demise. I referenced a principle or phrase, I guess. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. And I felt like this reflected pretty well for Victor and my presentation is that he's being kind of ignorant of what's going on around him. He's wanting to avoid accountability and so on. So I felt like that reflected what I was trying to say, and I think that's the end of my presentation. So thank you for listening.